Good morning, everybody. This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar. Big shout outs to the customers of the AfricanSuperstar.com. Also, big shout outs to our members only who support our platform on a monthly basis. Today, I want to talk about this topic. Now, you guys can see I'm decked out in traditional wear. This is actually traditional wear from Cameroon. And I am preparing to do yet another presentation whilst here in Columbus at the school. So I wanted to talk about answering our own prayers. Big shout outs to Karen. She's the first in our chat room. Please make sure you like the stream. Make sure you share the stream. Make sure you participate in this conversation. I want to talk about answering our own prayers. Now, this might be a very avant-garde theory, but this is kind of the methodology that I have taken over the last several years and been very successful in doing, because the things that I really want and the things that I need, I enlist all of my resources and all of my actions to try to achieve that. One of the things that we talk about on a repetitive basis is the miseducation of our children. You know, we talk about that quite frequently. And we talk about a lack of exposure. Many of you that have grown up have talked about, you didn't have any exposure to Africa. You didn't see realistic images. You didn't get the exposure. And that has really affected your perception of the continent, maybe even delayed what you wanted to do. In essence, that is something that I would definitely say was the case with me. I had very little exposure into taking advantage of the opportunities on the continent. And I'm actually the answer today to my own prayers. I'm actually going to schools while I'm here in Ohio, speaking to the youth and providing them that exposure. I'm actually answering, a need and request that I myself had or can recognize was needed. You see, we can be so proactive and productive if we start taking the initiative in our own lives. Me being able to go, big shout outs to the family. Thank you so much for the compliments. This is traditional Cameroonian attire from the Bamenda tribe. Yes, I'm representing from Cameroon, where I have family. Big shout outs to the African Superstar family. Me going to schools and so on and so forth was as simple as me putting the request out there. First and foremost, creating the example. Okay. You must create the example to have the platform to speak. Now, let's just say I'm passionate about the continent, but I haven't traveled there. I don't have any expert knowledge. I don't have anything. I just kind of have an opinion. It will be difficult for people to give me an audience. They wouldn't really take me seriously. They would say, well, what actions do you have to back up your perspective? Now I'm in a unique position where I actually have experience and an example to back up my perspective. Now I'm qualified to go and educate other people and enlighten other people. Think about the things that have been on your horizon for many, many years. This is also another perspective thought for your upcoming year. Think about the things you have wanted for many, many years. All right. What are you doing to facilitate the answers to those things? Big shout outs to the family. Let me give you another example. Let's say you need a pair of shoes. Okay. There's just a few of you guys, but I'll see if I can get a trivia question answer. If you guys needed a pair of shoes, what are some of the things that you would do to get a pair of shoes? Big shout outs to the family. Go ahead and participate because it's just a handful of you guys. If you needed shoes, what would you do? What would you do? Let's see here. I'm going to kick it off. If I needed shoes. Simple. Go to the store. Go to the store. Go to where they're selling shoes. if there wasn't a store in your area, you could go to maybe the town center or the market. TT says, get money to go purchase them. Big shout outs. What's up, Sarah C? I see you there. First trivia question. If you needed a pair of shoes, what would you do? I kicked it off with go to the store. TT said, get some money so I can purchase them. I'm making a point here with this. Karen says, save. She must want some expensive shoes. I'm talking about if you was barefoot. Okay, you had your little pinkies out. You needed shoes. Okay, Karen wants designer shoes. For the rest of us, maybe you can go to Payless. Maybe you can go to the thrift store, whatever, whatever. Okay, if you're in a tropical place, maybe you get some flip flops. The fact of the matter is, not one of you said pray. Not one of you said hope and wish or depend on someone else. Ask my mom, ask my friends. Anonymous is a big spender. Go to DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse. Y'all talking about designer shoes. Y'all talking about some shoes like, I'm going to show y'all my new shoes. Y'all talking about some shoes like this. This ain't what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, if you needed some shoes for survival purposes. I'm making a point with this, which is every last one of you suggested something that required you to take initiative. Go to the store, save money, look for money, go to DSW, whatever you needed to exercise to get the shoe. Okay. None of you guys are going to be waiting 20 years to get a pair of shoes if you're barefoot and need shoes. Okay. The same pertains to the other things that you want to do in life. You're waiting 10 years. You're waiting 5 years. You're waiting your whole entire life. Okay. To accomplish things. We're doing the very same thing with our community and our children. We know what they're experiencing and we're not stepping up. Those of us that are in a position to measure up. Is it fair that a handful of us need to be the examples to, thousands of children or millions of children? No, it's not fair. But at the end of the day, if we don't do it, if we don't do it, the need and the voids will continue to be there. And guess what? See, the thing is, you got to realize these deficits affect all of us. These deficits in our community affect all of us. One of the most stupid and ignorant statements I've ever heard is, well, it doesn't, that's their house. That's their business. It doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. When people act crazy, when people are mentally unstable, when people put your life in jeopardy or their own, it affects you. You have a stake in what happens in the next person's house. Yes, you do. When they are your people, it affects you. You think those little bad kids down the street have nothing to do with you. Guess what? They go to school with your kids, your grandkids, your godson or goddaughter, your niece or nephew. Matter of fact, they're going to grow up and be the peer group with those your loved ones. A lot of us intellectuals even suffer because of our peer group, because of the trauma and dysfunction of someone else. Second trivia question. Big shout out to the family. For any of you guys that have just entered in, I am decked out in my traditional Cameroonian attire. I'm getting ready to go speak to another school whilst here in Columbus. And I'm talking about answering our own prayers, being the solution to our own problems. What can you do? We know our children, for instance, in America, don't get exposure to Africa. What can you do? How can you contribute? What can you do to enlighten them? Big shout outs to the family. I was getting ready to get to my second trivia question here. Have you ever had a relationship or a friendship with a dysfunctional person? Let me see a number 2. Have you ever had a friendship or relationship with a dysfunctional person? Someone that went through some kind of trauma, molestation, abandonment, abuse. Neglect. Huh? If you have ever had a relationship with those people, you understand what I'm saying to you is true. What goes on with the next person has everything to do with us. These youth out here today, they have an impact on all of us. Let's be 100% honest. That menace to society, that child that has been neglected, that child is angry at the world. He's the one that pulls the trigger on your son, your nephew. He's the one that bullies your kid at school. He's the one that disrupts class so your kids can't get their education, their lessons. He's the one to knock up your daughter or niece or whoever, goddaughter, and be an irresponsible baby dad. I mean, come on. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. I think if more people were taking my ideology to this, we would begin to it having more of an impact, because more of us would see our impact, our influence as so critical and important. To be honest with you, I have jet lag, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Okay. Between seeing family and friends, the time difference, I am very, very tired. But I'm still doing what's necessary because I understand that my example, for instance, to a lot of these young people that I have seen on this trip is the only exposure that they have had and maybe will ever have. It is vital and critical that I play my part in this circle of life. Okay. A lot of people are sitting back watching me and watching a lot of people and being critics and not doing anything to address the problem. Just imagine if we had strong Black males going into our schools on a regular basis, talking to our young Black males and instilling things in them and encouraging them, mentoring them, showing them a different lifestyle. Just imagine the kind of impact that would have. Do you know how many young people during Malcolm X's time want to be just like Malcolm X? Want to be just like Dr. Martin Luther King? Nelson Mandela, Kwame Nkrumah. Do you know how many people idolize those gentlemen, for instance, just to name a few? We know right now, for instance, a lot of the role models that our young men have are rappers and athletes, and they look like carbon copies of these people. Why aren't we using our positive example and also imparting that onto the youth? Big shout outs to the family. So, I'm doing my share. I'm someone who practiced what I preach. Despite what I told you, despite about how I personally feel and I'm exhausted, I keep going. To be honest, having my platform taken down has been devastating for me. The longer time goes on, the more devastated I am by that. As I see my friends, fly past me, they have huge platforms now. They're making good money off of YouTube. I think to myself, wow. However, I realize that my presence is very, very critical, very, very necessary. So I keep moving forward. I'm only one person. But when I put my head on the pillow at night, I know that I have done what I can do to be a benefit and a resource to my people. That's all I want to do and be in life. What are you doing? Why should I have to fly all the way back from Ghana and be the first one to talk to local schools here in Ohio about the continent? How many of you guys have been visiting the continent? Why aren't you sharing your experiences? Why are you watching them destroy our children and then complain about the outcome? Why aren't you being an obstacle to the destruction of our community? Why not? Why are you waiting on the African superstar to do it? How difficult would it be for you to approach your local schools and ask to speak to the kids? How difficult? It couldn't be that difficult because it wasn't that difficult for me. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know, more people need to take this responsibility. Answer your own prayers. You know, like I gave the example earlier, if you needed shoes, you wouldn't pray about shoes. You know, you would not ask anybody else for shoes. Maybe if you're 5 years old, you would go to your parents. Anybody above probably the age of 13 could figure out how to get their own shoe. You know, this attitude, this very cavalier attitude about looking out for oneself. How is that working out for us, guys? How is that working out for us in the West? Huh? That Lil Jon, I don't give a, you know, it's a hot banger in the club and, you know, workout song, but how does I don't give a, how is that working out for our community? We need to start giving up. We need to start caring. We need to start doing what we need to do, you know, all around the world, all around the country. We need to start taking the initiative. Big shout outs to the family. Now, TT asked a question. If I could teach our children 3 courses, what would it be? Obviously, I would teach them Black history. You know, I think that that is very, very important. I would also teach them leadership. You know, I believe in promoting the children to lead and guide and be the solution to their own problems, and also having a responsibility to their community. And then I mean, you know, you probably need some STEM in there, you know, some mathematics. I mean, they need to have basic life skills. So I probably would say the third one would be life skills. You know, I would teach the children how to cook, and I would teach them how to count, and I would teach them how to sew, and, you know, basic things like this that can help them navigate everyday life. Maybe some agriculture in that course. Those would be things that I think are very, very valuable, to preparing the youth for the future. And those are things that they're currently missing. A lot of what they're not getting Black history, they're not getting leadership courses, and they're not getting life skills. And we see the fallout from that. So big shout out to TT. Good question. I think we need to not only do curriculum, we need our own schools flat out. You know, any state school or government school is going to have their national requirements, their, you know, their structure that has to be there. So simply building a school and then putting the old curriculum, it is not where it is. We need to analyze our children, pinpoint their deficits, and then minister to the deficits. You know, I'm doing my share. I'm not a full-time educator, but I know one deficit is representation. And I know they're not seeing the continent. They're not seeing realistic options about the continent. They're not even entertaining moving internationally or anything like that. Representation matters, you know. So in my small, minute way, I'm trying to do what I can do. Big shout outs to the family. Tiger says, I heard a true statement about our priorities yesterday. We buy what we want and beg for what we need. Wow. We spend money with the enemy, then beg them for resources and to recognize our humanity. Excellent. That is, I mean, mic drop. Mic drop. The second trivia question that I asked was, have any of you ever been in a relationship with a dysfunctional person? You know, and that was number 2. Big shout outs to Ingrid, TT, Karen, me as well. Okay. The reason I asked you that is because it impacts the next household, impacts our household. You know, any of you that have had a relationship with a dysfunctional person, you know, it has greatly impacted you. You're trying to love this person. You're trying to build a future with this person. You know, you're trying to, you know, convince them that, you know, they're worthy or that this thing can work. And they're fighting you all along the way because they're dysfunctional, because they never seen anything work, because they don't believe it. It is draining. It's tiresome. You know, we should have an interest in our community. I don't even have kids, and I'm so passionate about what goes on with them. Spend my time, you know, grooming nieces and nephews for the future. You know, speaking to children at school, having a YouTube platform. I love and care about these children because I understand they're going to be the next generation. Some of you guys have children, and where are your efforts? Where are your efforts? Huh? Big shout outs to TT. I thank you so much for your super chat. Much love to TT. She showed a lot of love with that $50 super chat. Thank you so much. I see you, Nubian Jack. Yes, I'm representing traditional Cameroonian attire for my presentation today. Yeah, big shout outs to all my cam. Look, everybody's coming out. That's how you know, real Africans, you put on that traditional wear and they know this is traditional wear from the Bamenda tribe in Cameroon. Now, my tribe is Bakweri, but still, this is one of the most distinct Cameroonian traditional attire throughout the country. So everybody knows this. All the cams know this. So big shout outs to my Cameroonian viewers. Yes, I'm going to represent today during my presentation in traditional Cameroonian attire. Big shout outs to Zoo and Shayna. So obviously I'm going to wrap up here. I need to set off. But this is something that you guys need to really begin to do. Stop waiting on someone else to facilitate the answers to your questions and your prayers. Look at your prayers, for instance, or your desires, your wishes, and ask yourself, how can I solve this? What can I do to position myself to solve this? My goal is to be visible to the next generation. It's all great that a lot of adults watch me here. A lot of my own peer group watches me here. That's great. And I can be a sense of inspiration to you. That's cool. But those that are really, really important are the young people. And as it stands, we're not doing a great job of instilling our, values in our young people. We're not. And we look at, for instance, in the West, do you guys, I need an answer for this. Do you guys think that we're doing a great job with our youth in the West, in the diaspora? Yes or no? Are we doing a great job with our youth? Are we producing game changers for the future? What is our young people's perspective about the continent? What's the young people's perspective about self-preservation? About their peers? Are we doing a good job? Malcolm told us back in the 60s we should be educating our own kids. Are we doing it? If the answer is no, which, I mean, according to you guys, a lot of you guys are parents as well, we're not doing a good job. So what are we going to do about it? Are we going to continue as is? I told you guys the other day, we are the new adults. we're the new grown-ups. We see problems. We need to be proactive in addressing those problems. I'm only one person. I have a platform currently over 1,000. At one point, 11,000. Y'all can be doing more. And I will also say this, and big shout outs to TT. If you know in your heart, for instance, that you're not going to, physically be a part of the movement, then very much support and back up those of us that are willing to do it. Go ahead. I, for instance, have a long track record of being about what I say I'm about and delivering. The more resources I have, the bigger audience I have, the more I'm able to do. And you guys can certainly count on me with your young people. Because like I said, I don't even have children, but my passion for them runs deep. If you ain't going to do something, then do something. Big shout out to Nubian Jack. If you ain't going to do something, do something. Like Tiger said, we buy what we want and then pray for what we need. We know a lot of what's happening with our people. We know a lot about the problems. We don't take care of the problems. We cast it off. We hope that somebody else is going to sort it out. We need to change the curriculums. How difficult would it be for the curriculums to be changed? How long do you think it would actually take for a curriculum to be changed? I'm willing to barter. They could probably prepare a brand new curriculum probably within a month's time, if it was a priority. I'm willing to barter a brand new curriculum. Now we have been dealing with, decades of inadequate curriculums for our people, our young people. I probably say in America, the curriculums probably became inadequate for our people following civil rights. Okay, once our children integrated into non-Black schools, because prior to segregation, they had to go to their own schools. So I'm willing to barter that their educators and their elders and stuff were imparting the knowledge that was necessary, because we look at that generation of the civil rights, and those young people were powerful. They were well educated. They were sophisticated. They were focused. Okay, so that's a testament to proper education. Okay, they also believed in community. They believed in family, huh? They believed in, solidarity. And ever since we integrated, we have not had adequate education. So we're talking about decades of inadequate education for our kids, and we have allowed it to go on without challenging it, without changing it. So we've identified the problem. I have, 20 of you guys watching me currently. All of us have identified the problem. We know that there's a problem with education. And who's doing anything? Who's doing anything? I simply put a post up on my Facebook. Hey, I'm in town from Ghana. I want to meet with the schools. The teachers reached out to me and said, hey, can you come to my school this day? Can you come to the school? Just like that. We have a lot of our peers, family members, so on and so forth, that are educators. Some of you guys even know principals. Huh? Some of you guys know people in university. You think our young people wouldn't like to see and hear from someone like me or you? I told you the last presentation I had, they were extremely receptive to me. You could hear a pin drop in that presentation. When there was about 30 students, the room got full, so they even opened the door to the corridor, and there were students in the corridor listening to me. You see, this is just one individual deciding, I'm going to do something. There's a lack of representation. There's a lack of, a voice and options present. I'm going to do something. What are you doing? A lot of you have children. Do not leave their well-being up to our enemies. They will never adequately prepare them for the future. They will never adequately prepare them for the future. The most critical knowledge that they need will never come from school, especially when our enemies are those that are educating our children. Guys, become the answer to your prayer. I wish there was an African superstar of my generation. I wish. We had people like Dr. Cornell. We had, some celebrities come. We had some authors come, but nobody prolific to bring a real, tangible, feasible alternative for our kids. It's more like the struggle, and keep perpetuating the struggle. That's usually the thing. We need to give our kids more. Okay. We've grown up in the system. We've endured it. We know what they are facing. And actually, it's a lot more hostile for them. So, if you care, all right, then you will take something from this message. If you care, you will support my platform. If you're not in a position, you don't think that you're suited, or you don't have the experience, fine. Get behind someone who is legit. Get behind someone that's going to actually deliver with a track record. Okay. I'm more than willing to organize a tour and tour around this United States and go see our children around the country. But I need funds to do stuff like that. You know, I'm more than happy to, organize lectures and things like that at the universities. If you know people that we can make it happen, fine. If you guys sponsor from me, cool. I'm willing to do all that stuff. I need the resources to do it. I'm doing what I can with the little I have. So big shout outs to the African Superstar family. This is why I'm going out today, Zoo and Shayna. This is why I went out the other day. To Black American students, they don't see traditional clothes. They don't know anything about that. They see poverty on the continent. They see starving children. Nothing enticing, nothing beautiful. They sure as hell don't have access to someone who's living that life. So this is why, So big shout outs today. I'm really happy that this has resonated with a lot of you. Big shout outs to TTR Super Chat donors. I appreciate the support, guys. I'm very, very contemplative going into 2022, just trying to be at my optimal. I ask that my platform continue to lift me up and support me in these endeavors as I go out here and implement SMP. If we want a better generation for our kids, our prime investment, our first priority is the youth. We're getting old. Okay, we're not going to be able to enact change on our own. This is why the other communities invest heavily in their youth. The Asians and the Jews and, these people, they invest all their resources into their youth. A lot of youth, international youth, is running circles around American youth and British youth because we're not putting anything in our kids. We're not instilling anything in them. We're allowing them to go to school, especially a lot of migrants, just let them go to school and just whatever the teachers tell them, we let it go through. Knowing good and damn well those people don't have any intention of instilling anything worthwhile in our kids. You as a parent should be deeply passionate about what these people are putting into your kids. You should be deeply passionate. You should be investigating. You should be counteracting. Have you been to your child's school? Huh? Do they know you there? Do you go and meet and have lunch with your son or daughter sometimes? Do you show up in their class sometimes? Do you volunteer when they do the field trips? I mean, do you know your children's teachers? You should. Your children are spending upwards 5, 6, 7 hours every day with these people. Who are they? What is their mentality? Your children is the biggest legacy that you have. If you don't care what goes into them, then, you can't really expect much in the future. So a big shout out to the family. I have to go because I have to go. I have to go to my presentation. So I am still working on the editing of the one from last week. So I will have those available for you guys very soon on the channel. Big shout outs to the family. And like I said, the super chat donors, and, share this video. I keep telling you guys, share this video, do what you can in your own communities, and quite frankly, the more of us that take this kind of approach, the less easier it is for us to be silenced. If there's people popping up all around America, taking initiative with our youth, it's not, can they get us all? No, they can't get us all. Can they get one or two of us? Yeah, it's a lot easier. Let's start having a concerted effort to care. So big shout outs, J. Nell Spriggs. I see you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this doesn't really surprise me, Tiger. They keep doing the same things over and over again. It doesn't surprise me. I'm not really worried about what the opposition is doing. I'm calling to action what we're doing. You know, what are we doing? We know what they're going to do because let's give it to the whites. They've been consistent all these years. We know their standpoint. You know, some people don't want to accept it. They want to dress it up. They want it to be something different, but it is what it is. You know, so big shout outs to the African Superstar family. Just for anybody who came in late, yes, I'm preparing for a presentation today. I am dressed in traditional Cameroonian attire from the Bamenda tribe. This is among some of my favorite traditional wear, as I have family in Cameroon. So that is what I know this hat is a bit similar. Some people are like, oh, is it South African? It's a little bit different. This is actually made from velvet. It's hand embroidered. It's absolutely riveting. You know, usually red, orange, green. I have a full skirt on. So it's beautiful. I'll try to take a full picture when I get where I'm going. So much love to the family. I appreciate you guys. Until we meet again, stay Black and true. If you ain't Black, just stay true.